Good afternoon to everyone that's on the line with us this Friday. My name is Robert Schaffner, and I'm the director of MBA programs at Golden Gate University, as well as director of our small business and entrepreneurship programs at the school. On behalf of Golden Gate, I want to welcome you all today. For those of you who don't know about Golden Gate, we are a private nonprofit university in San Francisco. We are celebrating our 120th year. We were founded in 1901. We have schools in law, business, taxation, and accounting. We offer undergraduate degrees. We started our business school in 1908. We've been doing online education in this era of COVID, but we started on online education in 1997. So we have a great deal of experience with that. And we have been offering for the past several years, really a lot of direct assistance to small business and entrepreneurs in the greater Bay Area. We run 2 cohorts a year of programs that take them through 11 weeks of instruction on business development, marketing, HR issues, finance for your business. How do you know you understand your numbers? A number of different topics. And then we offer them to match up with a mentor at the end of the program with an eye towards launching a business within a year period. So we're very committed to our small business community in and around the Bay Area. And well over 50% of the participants in the programs are minorities. And at least a third to a half of the participants are women. So we're going to continue to do that. And part of what we're doing today is to continue on with that support. This program is part of the Agino School of Business. And just as a quick aside, Edward S. Agino was an Italian immigrant who earned his degree from Golden Gate University by commuting across the bay, I guess, on ferries, because there wasn't any bridge, there wasn't a train at that point in time to get his degree, but he did earn that, and then was a very generous philanthropist that really helped our school. This is part of our Innovations in Practice series. This is our part 2 of supporting small business and helping small business thrive and survive. So welcome. I want to thank Assemblyman Phil Ting for co-hosting this event. We thank you so much for your generous support in making this event possible. And I see Congresswoman Jackie Spear, welcome and joining. And so I'm going to just do some very brief introductions, and then I really want to turn it over because they didn't come to hear me, they came to hear you. But let me just go through this very, very quickly on brief introductions. And of course, you can say anything additional that you might want people to know. But Congresswoman Jackie Spear represents California's 14th Congressional District. That stretches from the southern portions of San Francisco down through San Mateo County to East Palo Alto. She is very active in Congress, and she serves on the House Armed Services Committee, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, House Oversight, House Committee on Oversight and Reform. She's co-chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus and the Congressional Armenian Caucus. And she's part of the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. Thank you, thank you, thank you at this particular point in time. She was named to Newsweek's list of 150 fearless women in the world and one of Politico's 50 most influential people in American politics for bringing the Me Too reckoning to Congress. So welcome. Assemblyman Philip Ting was, and it's Phil, not Philip, was elected to the State Assembly in 2012, representing the 19th Assembly District, which spans from the west side of San Francisco, as well as the communities of Broadmoor, Coma, Daly City, and South San Francisco. He is one of the leading voices on California's finances. He now serves as the chair of the Assembly Budget Committee after having served as chair of the Assembly Committee on Revenue and Taxation. Phil is a graduate of UC Berkeley, go Bears, and Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government. He began his career in public service as an executive director of the Asian Law Caucus, an organization founded in 1972 to advance and promote legal and civil rights of Asian Pacific Islander communities. And thank you for your leadership there throughout the years, again, particularly at this moment in time. And he's once served as community relations director of San Francisco State University. Julie Close, who is the district director of the SBA San Francisco office covering 14 counties in Northern California. Julie is responsible for all the SBA operations in that territory and leads a team of dedicated individuals that really help, what I'll say, they're where the rubber meets the road to really make sure that the services are provided to small businesses and helping businesses get access to capital, get access to technical assistance that they need. And she works very closely with the Small Business Development Center network throughout Northern California. So Julie, welcome today. And then I also want to introduce Bianca Bloomquist, who manages the Small Business Majorities outreach and education efforts for the Bay Area and Northern California region. The Small Business Majority is a national small business organization that empowers America's diverse entrepreneurs to build a thriving and equitable economy. They work in a network of more than 85,000 small businesses and 1,000 business and community organizations that advocate for public policy solutions and deliver resources to entrepreneurs that promote equitable small business growth. Bianca has a wide range of experience in working in small business, and she serves on the steering committee of the California Asset Building Coalition, and that coalition works on economic development efforts throughout the state with a particular focus on low-income communities and equitable local economies. So welcome, Bianca. With that, I have done my introductions. And again, if there's something else that I missed, please feel free to add that in your remarks. So why are we here today? What's so important about this particular point in time? Well, one thing is, in the United States, small businesses make up 99% of all businesses in the United States. 99%. So small business is big business, if you will. Small business accounts for 44% of our gross GDP. That's big. They're very, very important to our success. And I dare say, if small business is not successful, we're not successful as a country. We're not successful as an economy. So very important. In this past year, COVID-19 has had an outside impact on small business. Small businesses are struggling right now. We want to see them successful and thrive and survive. But over 40% of African-American businesses, 30% of Hispanic businesses, 25% of Asian businesses, 25% of women businesses in the months after COVID first hit in the United States are no longer in existence. They went out of business. So as we go forward, we want to think about how do we ensure that the businesses that are here are able to survive, able to grow, able to again be vibrant contributors to our economy. So that's important for us right now. And the thing that's important also is that all of you that are here today, you're offering really important services. But a lot of times small business doesn't know about it. So enough said for me. What I'd like to do right now is to turn it over to you to talk about the things that you're doing right now. And I'm going to start with Congresswoman Spear.
Thank you, Professor Schaffner. It's really a pleasure to be with you. and with my panelists. Julie Klaus has done an incredible job at the SBA. I've had her on a number of town halls, probably to her regret, but she has done a wonderful job trying to move the programs forward that we have passed as part of the COVID relief. And Phil Ting, it's always a great pleasure to join you on any panel. A great member of the State Assembly, and obviously someone who has a lot of clout when it comes to pulling the purse strings, so to speak, for the state government. Professor, you mentioned that 99% of small business, 99% of businesses are small businesses. But one of the things we found out during the pandemic is that our definition of a small business in America is, frankly, in my view, too large. 500 employees or less qualifies as a small business. And one of the things that we realized during the COVID crisis is that it's the really small businesses that were suffering the most. So what we have done in the last year is nothing short of a miracle. And I will say that I think what we have done very recently through the American Rescue Plan is creating a once in a generation. And I can say that because I've been in government now for a generation, for over 30 years, but it's a once in a generation, maybe even once in a lifetime opportunity to fix what is broken in our country and to build back better in a way that takes into account all the things that we have ignored for so long. Mitch McConnell had called this bold and audacious, and in fact, it is bold and audacious. But we need to remember that every mayor in this country can see a pothole and recognize that it's not a Republican pothole or a Democratic pothole. It's a pothole because we have not put the kind of investment into our infrastructure that we must. So what we are considering now in Congress is a $2 trillion package, something we haven't done in a very long time. Now, our Republican colleagues will say, well, this is too much. Well, it's not too much when we have so many roads and so many bridges that have been really neglected for so long. So we're going to fix 20,000 miles of highway. We're going to fix 10,000 bridges. We're going to create 500,000 electrical vehicle charging centers. We're going to electrify 20% of the school buses. We're going to put more money into making sure we have clean water so we don't have the Flints, which frankly we have around this country, the Flint, Michigan lead problem. And what we found out in COVID is that broadband is part of the necessary infrastructure for our country. And so reinvesting in manufacturing, because we found out with PPE, we can't rely on China and other countries around the world to provide our PPE. So all of that is part of the infrastructure package. But the other thing that we have found out as a result of this COVID crisis is that we have created not just a recession, but a she-cession. And by that I mean a disproportionate number of the jobs have been lost by women in this country, 5 million jobs. And 2 million of them, 2.3 million of them have left the job force completely. And by that, that takes us back to the 1980s in terms of women in the workforce. So how do we fix that? We fix that in part by the child care tax credit, which we want to see made permanent. It is lifting now half of the children in poverty in this country out of poverty. It's a remarkable turn of events. And we want to make that permanent. By doing so, we are going to, in particular, lift low-income families out of poverty. And it will address what is a $10 trillion problem over 10 years. Because when people are living in poverty, of course, they rely on government services to a greater extent. Beyond that, as you know, as small businesses, as people who are interested in small business, we have spent, and Julie will talk about this, close to $300 billion, maybe it's even more than that, in what we call the PPP program, helping businesses stay afloat during this crisis when they could have easily have laid off their workers. And one of the hardest hit groups were the restaurants. Restaurants in our country employ more workers than the airline industry and the auto manufacturing industry combined. So in this last American Rescue Plan, we set aside $28 billion for restaurants and caterers and those that provide those kinds of services in our communities. And Julie hopefully is going to be in a position today to talk about how we are going to create this program. And they are grants. They're not loans, they're grants. So it's a huge, huge benefit for those who are employed in the restaurant industry. And I will be doing a town hall on that issue with Julie in the very near future. But beyond all that, of course, everyone received a stimulus check of $1,400 per person. If you were a family, it was up to $150,000 income. You would be receiving that $1,400 for every person in your family. Unemployment insurance, $300 more a week through September 6th. And as I say, the list goes on and on. So it has given us an opportunity to improve the lives of Americans like we've never done so before. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleagues on the panel.
Congresswoman Spear, thank you for your remarks and all that you're doing at the congressional level to aid small businesses. Let's take a look at the state level and what's going on in the state of California. And Assemblyman Ting would love to hear what's going on in California.
Thanks so much, Professor. It's always great, again, to be here in front of the Golden Gate University students and again, join Congresswoman Spear on a panel and have two of our best small business advocates from Julie and Bianca really being here to give the on-the-ground guidance, to give people the real help they need. I think the Congresswoman covered the landscape very, very well. I think we at the state level have just been trying to figure out where can we assist small businesses and individuals who really weren't helped by the huge program that the federal government's pushed forward. And in particular, there's been a couple areas. We try to augment a little more money for small businesses. We've put out about $2.6 billion worth of grants of $25,000, $5,000 to $25,000 for businesses that need some additional help and additional resources. We did an additional $50 million for cultural institutions because many of our nonprofit art groups and cultural groups were very hard hit by the pandemic because they couldn't perform and they couldn't open up. And so that was an area where we really wanted to focus. We also did billions of dollars to increase our California Earned Income Tax Credit. A chunk of that went to people who are undocumented because folks that are undocumented can't access our unemployment insurance. So at a time when they've been working for years, they don't get any unemployment because of federal regulations. And so we really wanted to supplement that and assist them by increasing our California Earned Income Tax Credit. In addition, I think what we want to do is open California back up. And we can do that by making sure that everybody continues to follow all the public health guidelines. So go get vaccinated, get your vaccine appointment at myturn.ca.gov. Keep wearing your mask even if you are vaccinated. Normally, if you were seeing me out and about, I got my vaccination a couple weeks ago, but you will still see me out wearing a mask. I have to go every week to the legislature in Sacramento. And when we're inside having committee hearings, we're on the floor deliberating, you will see all of us continue to wear a mask and to properly social distance. So it's important that we not take the vaccine for granted and all the great progress we've made in California for granted, but that we continue to really follow those guidelines. And it's working. What you see is we had a peak of 40,000 cases sometimes a day to now we're down to like 4,000 cases a day. And so I think it's a huge amount of progress. And I think it's a lot because of the leadership our governor showed, me and my colleagues have shown to really work with everybody hand in hand, and our counties have done an amazing job. I know that Congresswoman and I both represent San Francisco and San Mateo, and those are two of the best counties. They've done an incredible job really working with their public health departments and making sure that they are, trying to open everything back up, but at a point where it's safe, and continue to ask people to work to make everything safe. What we also want to do is we've been doing everything we can to open schools back up. We know that that's really been hurting people and their mental health, especially their children. Many, as Congressman mentioned, many women have been adversely impacted, partly because their work has been impacted because children are at home, and unfortunately they bear a brunt of that. I have to apologize because I may have to leave this panel early because I have to go pick up my daughter from school, and so I may have to jump off to go do that and go do my fatherly duty. So we spent $16 billion to work with the federal government to get schools reopened up, as well as to help with all the learning loss that's gone on for this last year. We just announced a $500 million wildfire early action package. And it used to be that wildfires only impacted a few of us in remote parts of the state. Now it impacts every single inch of the state. I mean, I think if you just looked at the pictures of San Francisco in October when the clouds were orange and dark at noon, we all know the devastating effects on wildfires and the effects they've had on businesses, because power lines were shut off, communities were impacted, businesses bore the brunt of that. So we're very sensitive to ensuring that we're doing every part. Oh, we also distributed the $2 billion we got from the federal government for eviction protection to help with tenants who are not able to pay rent. We continue to look at how we can assist people with their utility bills. We hear there's potentially $2 billion worth of utility bills that haven't been able to be paid. And so we're looking at how we can assist. So we feel like we're in a very thankful situation. We got assistance from the federal government, which is absolutely critical, so we can help more Californians. And which was something unpredicted, which was that our revenues came in much higher than we thought. And so we actually have a revenue surplus, unlike many cities, counties, and many states. And so we're in this enviable position where we are looking at how we can make some major investments, whether it's broadband, higher education, housing, and homelessness, to really move our state forward. So again, really appreciate all of you for being here today, and look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Assemblyman Ting, for your remarks and all that you're doing in your leadership at the state level. Just as a reminder, if you have a question, please go to our Q&A and you can put your question in there. We're going to try to get to as many of those questions as possible towards the end after remarks. And I would like to welcome Julie Close to talk about what the Small Business Administration is doing nationally as well as locally here in California.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you to the GGU team for putting together this panel today. And Congresswoman and the Assembly member, thank you for your time joining us as well. And Bianca, so nice to see her again too. So there's a lot going on with SBA, and I could probably talk to you all for the rest of the afternoon and not even cover everything. But what I really want to emphasize today is that while we have a lot of these COVID-related programs, and I'll give you the quick updates in a minute, and they're important. They play a role. They help. They're kind of emergency funding to help you get you through the really, really challenging time we've had this past year. But I also want to encourage the small businesses to start thinking about earning revenue again as well, and what that means for your business, and the tools that you can take advantage of, whether it's an SBA program or service or something from the state of California or another resource. They're really important to kind of couple this COVID support with some of the tools to get you back to earning revenue so that you can become that thriving business again. And just, always like to put on people's radar screens. I know SBA does more than Paycheck Protection Program loans. We actually have a cadre of assistants, and there's a couple things I want to highlight. We do still have, our regular financial assistance programs are still really doing well, whether you need microfinancing of $50,000 or less, or even venture capital or anything in between. You might be one of the lucky businesses who's had some opportunities come available in this past year, and you maybe need some more traditional financing. Banks are still lending, even outside of the COVID relief programs. The second thing is government contracting. So from the federal side, we do help small businesses break into federal contracting, learn how to be successful so they can compete and get their fair share of the government spend. The federal government spends annually around $50 billion in California. The small business share of that is very small. So I definitely see some room and opportunity there for the businesses who are interested in federal contracting. And we have lots of resources to help you with that. And then the third bucket they talk about is free business advising services. This is through our resource partners, the Small Business Development Centers, SCORE, Women Business Centers, and we have a Veteran Business Outreach Center here in Northern California. So no matter what issue you have, if it's help me figure out this plethora of COVID-related support out there and what fits for my business, you can sit down with an advisor to help you do that. If you have questions about any facet of your business, if you're thinking about, wow, I need someone to help me kind of maybe go through my financials and help me look at my cash flow and see how I'm going to navigate the next couple of months. If you're in a lucky position where you actually want to hire some people and you need some help on the HR aspect, marketing, you need to figure out how to improve your online presence and take advantage of e-commerce. Any of those issues, there's advisors standing by, and the services to you are always free of charge. If you go once, you can go 100 times. And then our last bucket is the disaster assistance, which has obviously been kind of dominating our conversations for the last year. As a quick update on some of the programs, because I know people are like, is this program still available? Can I still apply? And there's still a lot of resources out there. So the first two programs that kind of came out the gate, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, still available for first-time applicants, or if you had already applied for EIDL and you were capped at the 150, we're now providing loans up to 500,000. So you can come back to SBA and say, hey, I'd like to be considered for more money. And we do have a process, a simple email process to get that started. So whether you're an existing EIDL loan holder and want more money, or whether you want to apply for the first time, this working capital loan program is still available, still at the same rate of 3.75% interest rate for for-profits, automatic 30-year term, and the payment deferments for into 2022. The second program that I think is infamous now is the Paycheck Protection Program. We are still accepting applications. The program officially runs through May 31st. That is subject to the availability of funds. So if you have not applied for your PPP loan, whether it's your first one or your second one, please, and you want to, please go out and do that. I encourage businesses to do that sooner rather than later, because we do have a finite amount of funds here, and they're, we're running through them quickly. So please do apply sooner than later. There are some really great tools on our website to help you figure out the calculations. So there's some calculations if it's the first PPP loan that you're applying for, and there's a slightly different set of calculations if it's the second PPP loan that you're applying for. But the guidance documents will take you step by step on how you figure that out. And then of course, our district office team and our resource partners are there to help you figure that piece out as well. The other programs are kind of falling into the grant bucket, if you will. So we have the Targeted EIDL Advance Grant, which this is not a program you can actually go out and apply for. The way this program is working right now is it is, I will call it a cousin to the EIDL advance that was authorized this past summer under the CARES Act. This is not the same program. It does have different eligibility criteria, but the two priority groups that we're targeting for application in this program are the people who received an EIDL advance this past summer, but maybe did not receive the full 10,000, or people who applied for the EIDL advance and unfortunately did not receive any money because the funding had run out before their application was processed. So those are our two priority groups that SBA is direct messaging and providing an invitation to a portal to apply. Targeted EIDL advance does have slightly different eligibility criteria. So to be eligible for this $10,000, you need to be located in a low-income community. And we have a mapping tool on our website to help you figure out if your address is in a low-income community. And you have to show that you suffered a revenue reduction of at least 30% between 2019 and 2020. And you have to have less than 300 employees. So that is ongoing, and you can always find out more information on our website or through our district office. But the two newest programs that and I just got a press release, so you guys are the first group that gets to hear this. The Shuttered Venue Operators Grant reopens tomorrow, tomorrow. So that's 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, so 9:30 here for us. So happy news for anybody who fits into those eligibility categories. I will caveat the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant and the Restaurant Fund, as the name would suggest, are very industry-focused grant programs. So they're not as broad-based as PPP and EIDL, but they are two grant programs. Shuttered Venue Operators Grant is run like a traditional grant. There is an online application process that will open up tomorrow. And there is a prioritization period for those businesses as well, starting with the hardest hit. Those businesses that have lost more than 90% of their revenue are in the first priority period, more than 70% of their revenue in the second priority period, and then it'll open up for the rest of that community. There's a lot of different definitions, whether you're a live venue operator, a promoter, a talent manager. Some museums and zoos and others can qualify. So I do encourage you to look at the FAQ document on our website. That will really walk you through what exactly these different categories are and what it means to be a live venue operator. What does it mean to be a promoter? And then you can see what buckets you might qualify for. And then you'll know, how to answer some of the questions on your application. There's also a user guide that accompanies the application. So it will take you step by step each page of the application and explain what the items are that are being asked for, and then explain to you the supplemental documentation that you'll need to upload to support your application for this grant. This is a grant. It does not have to be paid back. So this is going to be a first come, first serve, so to speak, but we do have those prioritization periods for the different businesses. And then the Restaurant Revitalization Fund coming soon, very soon. I don't have the date certain, but well, this is being recorded, so I have to be careful. But I can't promise, but things look good for the next week or two, where this will be a live application again on SBA's website. This one is also a grant, but it is mechanically run a little differently than the Shuttered Venues one. Again, it is for restaurants or food service. So if this is people who sell direct to the public, direct to consumer, so to speak. Whether you are an actual brick and mortar restaurant, whether you're a food truck, you could be another kind of food vendor, mobile food vendor. You can be, it even applies in certain instances to, the vineyards and the tap rooms and some of these others. So I do encourage you that. There's also a ton of information already up on our website to help you figure out, do I qualify? And if I do, how much can I be eligible for? And then what is this application? There's a sample application that's up, and there's also a knowledge database for this program where we're updating it daily with the different FAQs that are coming in so that we can provide that information to you close to real time as possible on the website. We are, with the restaurant program being brand new, we are definitely doing a whole round of webinars. So please, if you want to take the deeper dive, watch out for one of the webinars. I know Congresswoman Spears' office has already asked for one, so we'll be making the rounds with that program as well. And again, all of our resource partners, SBDC, SCORE, Women Business Centers, do stand by and ready to help you navigate these programs and apply. So that's my quick spiel.
Thank you, Julie. And geez, wow, that's a lot of programs, a lot of things in aid for small business. Now Bianca is going to present, and here's an organization, Small Business Majority, that's an advocate for small business, out there fighting for small business every day. So Bianca, love to hear what's going on in Small Business Majority.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for having us on. A big thanks to the GGU team for inviting Small Business Majority to share today. Big thanks to the Congresswoman for her advocacy and her leadership on small business issues. In particular, the SSBCI funding that was tucked away in March. We really appreciate that nearly $1 billion that California CDFIs and other affordable capital community organizations are slated to receive. The Assembly member, I think he had to hop off, but that $2.1 billion in grants for small business owners. I'm going to share a little bit about my organization, but that $2.1 billion for the grants program is absolutely incredible, historic. Nothing like that has ever been done before for small business owners in this state. And we can't say enough how incredible that program is. The Paycheck Protection Program and other federal programs that have been passed to help small business owners has truly been unprecedented. And so very, very good things. And at Small Business Majority, we're very excited to see so much attention being placed on the micro business owners, like Congresswoman Spear mentioned. It's true. Most of the small business owners who employ roughly half of America's private sector workforce are micro business owners, those very small businesses with less than 10 employees who don't have access to a human resources department, who don't have access sometimes, definitely not to a CPA, but sometimes even bookkeepers. These are the folks that are most likely to fall behind, to fall in the cracks of the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And so we commend Julie and the entire small business ecosystem, all of us, for working together to make sure that as many folks can learn about these programs as possible. I did say we're an advocacy organization. We work in 3 primary areas of focus, particularly financial services for small business owners. Accessing affordable lending and avoiding predatory lending is a huge issue, even prior to COVID-19. The technical assistance that Julie mentioned, that's absolutely critical for small business owners to invest in their business, to make it out of this pandemic on their feet, to be able to invest in their workforce and provide quality jobs. Small businesses need to compete for talented workers. And in California, we're doing everything to make that happen. Paid family leave, making sure small business owners are aware of their responsibilities under paid sick days, being able to access these grants, being able to participate in programs like Cal Savers. These are all holistic ways of approaching a true small business and how a small business owner can survive. I did want to mention, there was a question, I don't want to gum up the process, Robert, but Aaron Jackson had a question about the California Relief Grant, and I think I would be remiss if I didn't address it. He said that he has been, he applied for the program early days, probably one of the first back in January in round 1. And he has been waitlisted for a very long time. I mean, 4 months is a very long time to wait. I did want to let Aaron know first that there is almost $730 million that is slated to go out in the last round. And that last round is not yet open, at least I think. I don't even know what day it is anymore. That round 6, will open on April 28th and close on May 4th. Now that money has not been allocated for, and that's $730 million. And this is not an excuse, but $730 million, frankly, $2.1 billion, there simply is not enough money to go around to give grants to every small business owner that applies or that exists in California. So what Lendistry did, what they worked with the legislature to do, is to not provide the grants on a first come, first served basis. This means that they are given on a rolling basis. The team at Lendistry and others take the applications as they come, assess the applications depending on need, and need is weighted in a variety of ways, mostly determining where you are in the state and how your reopening plans had affected your particular industry. And then the grants are given out. Full disclosure, small business majority is sorry about that. Full disclosure, small business majority is a subcontractor of Lendistry. I'll provide my email address into the chat. Feel free to reach out to me and we'd be happy to walk Aaron through what's going on with his application.
Thank you, Bianca. We're going to take a couple of really quick questions and then we will go to some questions from the audience. And we've already, thank you for answering one already for Aaron. Congresswoman Spear rightfully said, most small business is micro business. The majority of that 99% is probably 10 employees or less. And we all appreciate Amazon. Probably everyone here has maybe got something from Amazon at some point in time, but we have to take care of our small businesses, you know, and so I just would welcome your thoughts on how do you balance this out between Amazon and everything they do? They're great, but small businesses are dying. You know, we walk down our downtowns, we walk down our towns and we see businesses boarded up. We see people saying, yeah, but I can get it in a day from Amazon, versus you could go and walk and support a small business. Any thoughts on that?
Professor, that is my biggest criticism about the programs that we've had in place, because there are a number of Fortune 500 companies, companies that were on the New York Stock Exchange that were eligible actually for the PPP funding. And some actually, when it was exposed that they were getting money, actually gave it back, and Julie can speak to that. But we need to redefine small business so that, in fact, we're talking about businesses with, you know, less than 100 employees or less than 50 employees, and have some gradation in terms of how we provide resources to them, because they are, in fact, the backbone of our economy in the country. I'm going to have to, unfortunately, say goodbye, because I was told that this was going to be on until 1:15, and I've got to do a CBS interview in 15 minutes. So I'm going to have to leave at this point in time, but you're in the best hands with Julie, and it was great to meet Bianca for the first time to answer any other questions. I'm happy to have my staff stay on if they can be helpful to you.
Congresswoman Spear, thank you for joining us today, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. My background is I was in financial services for a number of years, a banker, and ran commercial banking teams for a Citibank here in California. So this is a question for you, Bianca. Any thoughts on, it seems to me that the underwriting criteria has to change for small businesses. They're almost at a disadvantage right out of the gate. We have an active CDIF network throughout the state that does a great job, but it can't really encompass the entire need. Any thoughts on how our lending industry for small business should change?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. I mean, you started by outlining the issue of underwriting, the strict standards and requirements that are often applied to small businesses and brand new entrepreneurs to start their business. It's frankly not doable. To get a traditional loan, oftentimes small businesses need to have been in business for 1 year or 2 years. This is not doable for our very new businesses. And these are the responsible, affordable loans that your community bank down the street can get. And so, frankly, until we're able to address the incentive structure that is our entire banking sector, we do have amazing community lenders in the state called CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions. And frankly, these are mission-driven lenders that many business owners don't know about. They have not heard of them. These organizations don't have massive marketing and advertising budgets. I can tell you those kinds of businesses that do, and they're the ones that typically make money off of a small business owner's default or interest rates. So these organizations, CDFIs, they are certified by the Treasury Department to provide low-cost loans to small businesses, and particularly women-owned businesses, business owners of color, businesses in rural areas. And there are a number of these organizations that work across the state. But what Small Business Majority has been working on for over a year now is creating a public-private partnership, a new way to address this historic lending incentive structure issue that provides systemic barriers, to create something called the California Rebuilding Fund. And we're not the only state. Something similar has been set up in New York. There's a multi-state initiative called the SOAR Fund that's being launched in southern states. But the California Rebuilding Fund is a novel approach to this issue. It combines government-backed capital, particularly through California's iBank, which is a state agency, to guarantee a certain portion, a high portion of that loan, and private equity to make the fund work, as well as the partnerships and the on-the-ground knowledge that these CDFIs have to create a standardized loan product that small businesses can afford. Now, frankly, this program is not as affordable as the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. EIDL is at 3.75%. And it's not as affordable as a PPP, and it's definitely not a grant. But what it does is provide low-cost, long-term capital to be there for small business owners when some of these short-term relief options are over.
Thank you, Bianca. I looked through some questions here on the Q&A. And so one of the things that's I think on small business people's minds is taxes. And Howard Biden and Gavin Newsom tax hikes, if you will, how are they going to impact small business? And as a small business owner, a lot of times you are the business is you. It's how you put food on the table for your family. It's how you survive. And so a lot of times it seems like, yeah, but some other taxes are coming through that makes it more difficult for me to operate my business profitably and to be able to support all those other people that may be employed in your business. So any thoughts on how there's equity here? We just saw in the news, I think a couple of weeks ago, that a number of major corporations didn't pay any taxes, won't pay any taxes this year. Question for anybody.
Hey, Robert, Mark from Assemblymember Ting's office, I guess, had his hand raised and has to pop off.
Mark, I know you got to go pick up some kids, so any thoughts?
Sorry, it's not answering your question, but I just wanted to go back to what Congresswoman Spear raised around some of the federal funds going to rather large corporations. with the help of the small business majority, quite frankly, we did a town hall with them, boy, a year ago now. We developed a lot of our state legislation to really focus on truly small businesses. We started the Shop Local campaign where we funded Shop Safe, Shop Local campaign where we funded small businesses to increase their digital footprint. We've also made funding available just for businesses with $2.5 million or less in revenue. So our website, which is in the chat, does actually have some of these. I did hear from someone in the Q&A that they applied back in January and they haven't heard back yet. So I encourage that person to email me directly. But I do want to tell you that was what Assemblymember Ting was talking about earlier, that we have tried to look at federally what's been offered and meet that gap for truly small businesses at the state level with our state funding. And we hope to continue to do that. And if you have ideas, I'll put my email in the chat. But I will tell you, Small Business Majority has been a great partner with the legislature in helping advise us on how to craft legislation and budget bills to really focus on truly small businesses.
Mark, thank you. Before you go, there is an office in the state that particularly works with small businesses on how to do business with the California state government. Do you have that name of that office and
so
how people can connect?
Yeah, there's the California Office of Small Business Advocate, and there's also GoBiz. GoBiz has the people that do more one-on-one help. But I mean, I hope, Bianca, you don't mind. Bianca, the Small Business Majority actually has real people that will also help people. So, I mean, we've referred a lot of people to you. I hope not too many, but GoBiz, and they have a helpful website, and there's a link on our website as well to them. But if there are problems, because a lot of state workers, we're mostly working from home right now still, and you live in Phil's district, or your business is in Phil's district, feel free to reach out to me. If you're in another district, reach out to your legislative staff, and they're always happy to help connect you with state resources.
Thank you. Thank you. And Julie, you mentioned that there's a lot of money. I think it's billions of dollars to do procurement with the federal government. And what occurs to me is oftentimes, having been in a big corporation and seeing how that works there, and then thinking about small business, a lot of times it favors like larger organizations than smaller organizations. Any thoughts on how really smaller businesses can take advantage of some of those programs in a better manner? Sure.
Yeah, I fully understand that government contracting looks like a very intimidating process, and there's a lot to learn. I won't minimize that, but that's where we have resources. We have certification programs for socially and economically disadvantaged business owners, women-owned businesses, service-disabled veterans, HubZone, which is more place-based, businesses that are located in areas of high unemployment and low income. And these programs, these certifications provide incentives to these federal contracting buying agents, these contracting officers, to utilize those businesses. So there are actually preference programs, set aside programs, and other ways. So especially when you're brand new to federal contracting, this is a great way to get your foot in the door and then show them like what the rock star performance that you can provide to the federal government. And that's how you start building your reputation and building your capability and your capacity for doing federal contracts. And we're here to help teach businesses how to do that, provide some, the free business advising services, and also help you get these certifications and figure out which one of these are the right tools that are going to help your business to be competitive in the federal space. So it is a building block program. You start small and we start building you up, and then eventually you're going to be out there competing with these bigger businesses.
All right.
Could I just jump in really quick, Julie? It's so funny that you mentioned HubZone, because just the other day I was communicating with a business owner and I used the SBA website. The SBA has right under HubZone, literally like a 7-step process in how you can see if you qualify for a HubZone. This particular business owner was located in Tehama County, which is a HubZone. Just really simple hyperlinks right there that you can download a checklist, make sure you've done all the steps, how to register on SBA. It's really just about getting started, I think, and then also understanding the federal certifications, but there are also local and regional certifications as well. So it does a lot of help, but all of this can be done with help of an SBDC advisor or PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And they all work really closely with the SBA. So they have the best resources.
Yeah, when it comes to contracting, federal, state, local, and we're all different, right? I know, wish we'd all get on the same page, right? And just have like one certification program or one set standard, but unfortunately we don't. So that's why it is, there's a lot of opportunity, but I can also understand where there can be a lot of like frustration and kind of deer in headlights, like where do I start? This looks overwhelming. And so having one of these advisors, through PTAC or others is great to help you break down the process. We've got a lot of free webinars and more things coming up to help teach you this process as well. So if this is an area, if you've been selling to local government or maybe the state of California and you're looking for some other opportunities, you're probably well positioned to do federal contracting. And, we'd like to encourage you to explore that as another opportunity, a way to help build more revenue for your business.
All right, thank you. Yeah. All right, we're come to the top of our hour, the end of our hour. And so Julie, Bianca, Phil, who's gone, as well as Jackie, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all you do every single day to support small business and to help make our communities better places to live. I know that you'll be gracious with your time to reach to help anybody that's on the line today and has a further question. Golden Gate University, also, we're really trying to do as much as possible to help small business. As I mentioned, we have a small business and entrepreneurship program that runs twice a year. Currently, I'll be meeting with my 25 pupils tomorrow, all budding entrepreneurs, to take them through what they need to know about HR in the business world. But that's available. That's a free program. So the next iteration of that program will be in the fall, starting late September, early October, and it'll go for 11 weeks. And then I'll just do a plug for who I used to work for, which is small business development centers that are throughout the United States and certainly throughout California. But as you plug in with an SBDC, you get an initial engagement with a trained advisor of eight sessions for free. There's no charge. And that would cost you, if you got a private consultant to work with you, probably upwards of $4,000 to do that. So take advantage of that. And it's not just limited to that, but SBDCs have helped businesses get upwards of $775 million in capital for their businesses on an annual basis. So that's a great opportunity. Again, free. Don't fall asleep on chambers of commerce, as well as offices of small business in various cities. So there is a robust network of business support for small business. Just real quick, we're going to have another panel discussion next Wednesday at 11 a.m. It's going to be on COVID and the new economy and how that's changed business messaging and PR. And we're also going to talk about business, justice, and tech with respect to business and PR communications. That's being co-sponsored by the San Francisco Public Relations Roundtable. And with that, if you have another question, we're going to try to answer anything we didn't answer today, or if we see something in our chat, we will respond to it. And I wish you all a great rest of the day and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Julie.
Bye.
Bye, Robert.
Bye.